All right, welcome everyone to the first original online production for Kokoro Media. And I'm Anthony Griffin. I'm going to be moderating what we call Kokoro Media Unfiltered. So this is an unscripted conversation about life in Japan, and we have a diverse panel of contributors here who will speak with you. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and then at the end, I'll share a little bit about me, and then we'll jump into today's topic, which is tips for autumn or life in the fall here in Japan. So let's start with Amelie. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name's Amelie. I'm a French national, and I've been living in Japan for about 8 years, almost 9 years. And I'm working at Kokoro Media as the editor-in-chief, and I'm also one of the main writers. I do a lot of interviews.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Ayane.
Yes, okay. I'm Ayane, and I'm Japanese. And I lived in Melbourne, Australia for a year before to study tourism, so I can speak English a bit. And what else? I'm in a digital marketing department right now, so I'm managing social medias for the tourism industry, tourism organizations, and other companies in Japan. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Aree.
Yes, hi, I'm Aree, and I'm originally from the Philippines. I've been living in Japan for about 5.5 years now, and but I'm not good in Japanese, so. And I'm working also, like Ayane, I'm working in social media, like digital marketing department. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. And again, I'm Anthony. I am a contributing writer and consultant, and I work with this team and many more. And I've been in Japan for well over 11 years. I'm originally from the US, so a lot of my thoughts and opinions come from my life in the States. So that is the team. Shall we get started with today's topic?
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about fall or autumn in Japan. Let's share our tips if you live here, or if you're planning to visit Japan during the season. What does everyone recommend?
So there's one thing I would like to say before we start this conversation about autumn, is that usually tourists, they like to try and come to Japan during spring to see the sakura flowers, the cherry blossom. But actually, I think the cherry blossom season is very short. If you're lucky, it lasts for 10 days. And if you don't have lots of luck, there might be rain or wind quite quickly, and it might be shorter. And also the conditions may be not really good for you, in the sense that even if it's supposed to be at a certain time of the year, you may book your tickets and then come, and the cherry blossom may happen after you go back home. So it's a little bit difficult to make sure that you're going to come at the exact right time. But in comparison, I think the Japanese autumn, there's this season that's called Koyo, during which the trees get red, and it's really beautiful. And it's another tradition for Japanese people to go and in the parks and admire nature as they do during spring, except that, in my opinion, it lasts for a longer time. So you have more chances to really enjoy the beauties of autumn instead of spring. And as it's my personal opinion, but I think autumn is even more beautiful than spring is. And I really love visiting parks and temples during this time. But it's also the same, you have to check, there's this kind of forecast for the Koyo season, telling you which parts of Japan are going red at which time of the year. So you also have to make sure to book your tickets accordingly, but you have less chance to go wrong with autumn than spring, I think.
Well, and to add to that, while we are talking about spring, you know, a lot of people get allergies when they come in the spring as well. So there's a lot of beauty in the spring if you can time your trip just right. But if you're sensitive to allergies, you might want to consider the fall as well. Yeah. But Ayane, Aree, any thoughts or tips about living or traveling in Japan in the fall?
For me, I think autumn is one of the, aside from spring, autumn is like the best season to travel in Japan because the weather is really comfortable. It's not too hot, not too cold.
Right.
And yeah, you can see a lot of great, like the foliage adds to the beauty of the sightseeing spots that you'd usually visit when you go on a trip.
All right. All right. Ayane, how about you?
When it comes to autumn, we imagine, do you know 食欲の秋? Like autumn appetite?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We have lots of yummy food in autumn, like sweet potatoes or like pears, grapes, other fish. So like in summer, it's too hot and humid in Japan, but it's getting cooler in autumn. And in summer, we don't feel so much like hungry, but like in autumn, we feel like we can eat a lot. So yeah, personally, I love autumn. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like the time of the year when you can finally eat again after the hot weather. Yeah. So what kind of things do you personally like to eat during autumn?
Do you know salmon? Fish?
Ah,
Do you say
right.
Pacific? Sorry, I don't know in English, but fish. I love fish and vegetables like pumpkin or sweet potatoes, you know, chestnut.
Any other favorite autumn foods? Aree, Amelie?
For me, I really like pumpkin too, and sweet potato,
Nice.
like yakiimo.
Yakiimo.
Roasted sweet
yeah.
potato. That's really good.
Could you explain what yakiimo is for maybe your viewers who don't know what it is?
It's just roasted, right? Roasted.
Roasted.
Sweet potato,
So roasted
so it's
sweet
like
potato.
an actual, full sweet potato that you just peel the skin off, right? And then you eat it as is.
I don't know if you've seen them before because it kind of seems to be slowly disappearing, but they have these yakiimo trucks.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got people who sell yakiimo in the streets on really small trucks, and you can hear them singing yakiimo on the autumn nights. And you know, there's one in your street. It's like the Japanese equivalent of like ice cream trucks or something, except that it's not ice cream. Have you ever seen these, Aree?
I haven't. I personally haven't.
There's sometimes in autumn and winter, if you're lucky, you can get some. But actually, the price is not so cheap. I thought it would be cheaper than in convenience stores or other shops, but actually, it's sometimes even more expensive than it is. But it's just the fun from buying from the truck, and it's hot because they're making it inside the truck.
Yeah.
If you have the chance.
To revisit the pumpkin food, so at least in the States, the pumpkin that I'm familiar with is quite different than what I experience here in Japan. So at least where I'm from, you know, pumpkins, we basically just carved them at Halloween. They weren't part of a regular part of my diet, but here, you know, you can eat them all year round, but I guess especially in the fall. So does anyone have any extra insight to share with our viewers about that, especially our viewers from the States?
Yeah, definitely give a try. I know that in the States, like pumpkin-based beverages are kind of popular during the last few years. So if you like this kind of things, maybe you're going to want to try all the pumpkin sweets that they tend to sell during autumn. Like there are lots of creams and breads and cakes and everything. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, and if you like the taste of chestnut too, there's a lot of chestnut flavored treats during autumn.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So let me ask this. You know, we're talking about experiencing the foliage and the food, but where should we go in the fall? Where should we travel to experience or to have the best experience here in Japan?
Well, that's a difficult question. Well, one of the, if it's your first time in Japan, going to Kyoto is a great thing, but you have to be ready for the masses of people who are going to have the same idea as yours, because I know usually it's quite kind of crowded, but there are so many temples and parks over there that are really beautiful. And I had a personal very good experience last year. It was in Tohoku, which is the northern east part of Japan. There's a place that's called Geibike Gorge. And so it's this really, really amazing, beautiful gorge. You're in small boats with only a few people, and the river is quite narrow, and you have foliage on both sides of the gorge, and it's really one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. So nice. If you have a chance, Geibike Gorge.
Geibike Gorge. All right. Okay. Any other travel suggestions?
For me, I lived in Hiroshima when I was a student. So I often went to, do you know Miyajima? Itsukushima Shrine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I often went there with my mom, and there is a temple. There are some temples, but one of the temple, you can see the beautiful view of the island from the temple, and you can enjoy the autumn foliage as well. So I loved it.
Yeah, I went there in 2008, my second trip to Japan before I lived here. And yeah, that's an excellent recommendation. Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Aree,
and also in Miyajima, they have this case called Momiji Monju, right?
Ah, yes.
So
that's right.
Momiji is the maple leaf. So I guess it's even better during autumn. I don't know, just because it looks like a maple leaf.
I know. we eat all the year, but especially in autumn, like the shape of the momiji maple looks good, so it's nice.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Aree, how about you? Any favorite travel destinations?
Believe it or not, I haven't actually went to a place just to see autumn leaves, even after living here for so long. I feel like maybe because I just like spring better than autumn. So for me, autumn is just one of those seasons that pass without me even noticing. But even without traveling to specific locations, I feel like you can enjoy fall leaves, just walking around in parks, in Tokyo. There's a lot of ginkgo trees, right? Yeah, those smelly trees. So yeah, I think you can enjoy them even though you don't have to really plan for them. You can just look around and enjoy the leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. You read my mind, because if you just happen to be in Tokyo and you can't travel a lot, kind of like the situation is now, we have tons of beautiful parks that you can just walk to and enjoy. Shinjuku-gyoen, for example, is a great place to go in the fall. Rikugien, also, I wrote an article about that a while ago. And even if you just go to the local mountains, we've got Mount Takao, we have Okutama, which has tons of hiking trails. So you bring up a good point. There's actually a lot to do locally. And for us, locally is Tokyo. Any other thoughts on fall? To me, I'm just so grateful about fall, because summer in Tokyo is my worst nightmare. Even because even though I come from a, a hot place, California, in inland California, Southern California, it's a dry heat. So we'll have temperatures well over 40 degrees Celsius, but it's dry. I'm in an air conditioning place, but here in Tokyo, the humidity is just so high, and I have a very active lifestyle. I don't own a car here, so I'm walking to wherever I want to go or cycling, and it's like you get in the shower, and as soon as you come out, you need another shower. So
right, you're already sweating.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm just happy that fall comes. It doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. So that's my most important message for today is just I'm grateful for fall every year.
I agree with you. I think we all share this feeling.
Right. I mean, even when I come from the Philippines, where it's like hot all year round, I still find Japanese summer really hard to bear with. I don't know why, but it's just really different. Like not even a minute of being outside, and I'm already sweating bullets.
Wow. Okay.
Is the heat in the Philippines also very humid like here?
I think it's more humid here. That's why. Okay. And the fact that there's 4 seasons here, it's like more difficult to adjust to like 4 different seasons. Unlike in the Philippines, it's just hot all year round. So your body is used to it. But like here, like spring, and then suddenly it becomes hot, and then becomes cool again. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's like frustrating to deal with the weather changes.
Yeah. And I like how you said suddenly too, because that surprised me. In California, Southern California is mostly comfortable year round, and if things change, it's very gradual. Where here, when the season changes, it changes like that, and that just causes all kinds of trouble. So yeah, good point.
And also, there's the second typhoon season during autumn. Am I right?
Yes.
Good point.
So, was it last year that we had so many typhoons coming to Tokyo?
Yes. Yeah.
So, if you're afraid of typhoons, just stay inside. That's my best advice. Usually, typhoon sounds very scary, but most of the time, if you're stuck in Japan during a typhoon, just don't go outside, stay at your hotel and chill out, and don't worry. The world is not going to end because of the typhoon. Usually, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, especially I've found if you're in a big city like here in Tokyo, just stay inside. Tokyo usually does okay. Unfortunately, there's a lot of damage in the more rural areas. So if you know a typhoon is coming, you might want to change your plans and get to, a big city based on my experience. I think it's worth noting too, though, that if you're traveling or you're new to the city, be mindful that the trains will most likely stop. So if you are trying to get to a safe place, be prepared to seek out alternative transportation. However, once the train stop, then everyone's trying to get a taxi as well, and it could be hard to get one of those. So do anticipate longer times to get back home or to get to safety. Okay. But that was a good idea to bring that up, because as great as autumn and fall is, you do have to watch out for that typhoon season. And one more thing about that too, maybe this is obvious, but it will affect your air travel plans. So airports get shut down all over the country. I think it was 2 years ago, a huge group of friends came over, and they had a plan to visit Tokyo, Kyoto, and then fly over to Korea. And they were in a race against time to beat this typhoon, and fly to Korea before they were trapped here. So yeah, good point. Be very careful about the weather if you're planning a fall trip to Japan.
Yeah, make sure that your schedule is a little bit flexible, so that you can if something like that happens, you have a plan B or somewhere to go if things get a little bit different than what you expected.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't want to end our video on a depressing note. So does anyone have any final messages or final thoughts, tips, or advice on Japan in the fall?
It's not very much related to fall, but I think during October or November is one of the good times to see illuminations. Because like when illuminations are usually in winter, right? But they usually start around like mid-October or like early November. So while the weather is still good, comfortable, I think it's nice if you see illuminations already before you wait for like because like in winter, a lot of people would go to these places, and the winter in Tokyo can be it doesn't snow, but the cold gets really harsh. So I remember last time Ayane and I went to see the illumination in Caretta, Shiodome, remember? And it was really cold. Like we couldn't really the illumination was beautiful, but we really couldn't enjoy it because we kept saying it's cold.
Yeah.
So I think during the fall it's easier to enjoy that.
Yeah. And for our viewers that might want to do that, is it safe to say that a lot of illuminations start maybe after Halloween, or am I mistaken there?
Yeah, I think most of them like mid-November, early November, up to maybe like January.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Good tip. Very good tip. All right. Ayane, any final positive thoughts or tips about the fall?
Maybe it's interesting to come to Japan around Halloween season, because actually we don't have the culture of Halloween, but many people are wearing cosplay costume and walking around the city. So it's very like funny and interesting to see them.
Yeah, good one. I mean, over the past 11 years, Halloween has skyrocketed here. When I first arrived, almost no one was even thinking about Halloween, and now, in many ways, it's more exciting than it is in America. So, good tip if you're into Halloween. You know, Japan, especially Tokyo, has a lot to offer. Yeah. All right, Amelie, how about you?
Yeah, since we are talking about special events and Halloween, there's one thing that comes to my mind is that usually you're not allowed to dress as a character or wear a costume if you go to Tokyo Disneyland, except during Halloween. That's the only time of the year you're allowed to dress yourself as a Disney character or any other character and go inside the park. So if this is your kind of thing and you want to take cool pictures in front of the castle or something, this is the best time of the year to do it. And it's also very funny because most people who go during this time of the year, they're all dressed up as characters, just like Ayane said. So it's funny to see everybody having fun in the park. And another thing I thought about is that usually Japan has lots of traditional festivals during summer. But there's one event that is very nice to see if you can during November. It's called Shichigo-San. So it's in the beginning of November and it's Children's Day, kind of. And so it's supposed to be during a weekend, but usually it's during a whole week. People will go to the local shrines when they have time. And so it's for little boys of 3 and 5 years old and girls of what was it, 5 and 7 years old, I think. Am I right? And so usually people will dress their children with beautiful kimonos and go to the shrines and take nice pictures. So if you want to see cute Japanese children dressed in traditional attire, that's very nice to go. Just go to any big shrine where you are and you will probably see people having family time for this celebration.
All right. Sounds great. Okay. Well, I learned a lot today, even though I've lived here for quite a while. I learned a lot listening to you, and I hope that our audience has learned a lot and picked up some tips as well. So yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone. It was great hanging out with you, and I'm already looking forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Guys.
You got it. All right.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Stay safe, everyone.
All right. Bye.
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 Bye. See you.
See you.